I'm assuming anything that comes with medical or legal, or even retail, there's obviously privacy issues, but who reads the privacy, things as you're signing up for an app or anything like that? I mean, you just check it and let's start using it. And I'm assuming those regulations are going to start getting pushed as we want more and more of people's datas. Like, oh, we just won't put your name in the medical thing. There are HIPAA laws and things like that that supposedly protect us. Same with legal, but
some of the synthetic data services are exactly that. It's pretty much scrubbing. It's still getting, if you have massive data sets, it's still getting those same trends out of them, but it's not using any private information. So you could feed your database into that, and they would say, right, they're going to run a simulation and convert it to, to have the same real world trends in it. No one is recognizable in that set.
Somebody has to regulate the regulation for that.
Exactly.
and make sure they're not taking too much. Oh, wait, you took too much of that one data set.
Yeah, exactly. So, you were mentioning medical as well. And that was sort of the second, application would be kind of emerging technologies and generating training data for those. So you look at fields like quantum computing or new medical treatments, and they often lack that sufficient sort of real world data, either because they're new or they have proprietary research that can't be shared. So the solution there is kind of generating this synthetic data to simulate the outcomes, processes, or even interactions in these kind of emerging fields.
Would biomedical companies, and that is a big thing, is to have scientists on staff to test for whatever you're trying to make, but having the ability, almost like, with UX, you wanted to create a wireframe, you want to test out a simulation of what you want to build. Is this an application of the same thing where they can create fake data and say, oh, this cancer drug or this weight loss drug simulation, fake data or synthetic data shows that it actually works, there's no side effects, or there's a certain percentage, and that will at least get them to the point of getting investment, say, hey, look, these synthetic tests are showing promise, and that helps them to get to that point.
I mean, you look at the benefits on solutions like that to obviously allow AI models to be trained and developed in these cutting edge fields, and just accelerating the innovation and things like cancer research and all those. It's so vital that if we can just speed up the processes, we can get better treatments, and so it could be a great kind of industry for that as well. And then the last one I had was expanding training data for visual AI. We've seen things like, we chatted about the Soras and things before, where they've mentioned, look, you'll see video generated with 6 fingers on the hand, and that's because there's not a lot of valuable reference images for the AI to work from, or a walking cycle, you may not have enough images. And that's where synthetic data can also be used. And actually, where they often struggle to have a large amount of labeled data, it's really time consuming. They often need to be sort of put together manually, as a result, pretty costly. The solution is then to have these images and videos generated to augment these existing visual data sets. So an example would be like creating synthetic images of a product in various different environments or conditions that you maybe don't have well represented in the real world. And it obviously, just then improves the performance of the visual AI models, and they can recognize and process a much wider variety of objects.
I'd imagine you still need a human to do a pass through that content it generates, right? So let's go with an example where you want your AI to draw hands, right? And it keeps drawing 6 fingers. So you go, okay, let me use synthetic data. Well, let's say there's 2 options here. Either I could go and buy 10,000 images of human hands that have been, photographed over the years, and find some huge database out there and Getty images and spend $10,000 buying those, or I could use an AI to generate all of these images for me and then pass that over to the model, which is specifically tasked to generate hands, right? But if you're using them, if it's struggling to do that to begin with, that means that the other model probably also struggles with trying to generate those hands, right? Because that just is the fundamental issue. Otherwise, you just use another model to do the task for you. But it can probably do 20,000 images and maybe 15,000 are correct, right? So you want to then move those 15,000 correct ones over to the model, which is as synthetic data, which is now accurate. But you still need a human to go through all that, right? And probably vet all those images. I'm just trying to think practically how you would make sure that this data is correct. So that's I'm kind of struggling to Yeah, be interesting to sort of figure out.